Hello there. My name is Neil Smith, and I'm a chartered civil engineer from the United Kingdom. And I've lived and worked for the last 28 years, either in Singapore or Hong Kong, in virtually equal amounts. So I'm going to present a paper on Feng Shui in construction and share sort of some personal experience on some of the major civil engineering projects that I've been involved with. Something that's very close to my passion and heart. So the agenda is quite basic. What is Feng Shui? Feng Shui in construction. And then I'll go through a couple of examples, one in Singapore and one in Hong Kong. And then I'll wrap up with a summary. So what is Feng Shui? As described in Wikipedia, Feng Shui, which is sometimes called Chinese geomancy, it's an ancient Chinese traditional practice that uses energy to harmonize an individual with their surrounding environment. I must stress that Feng Shui is not a superstition. It's a very natural energy that exists in nature, whether you believe it in or not. So it's all around us, all of the time. Science has already proven that we only live in the 4% of the visible world. The remaining 96% of the world is hidden, and only certain people with special abilities can actually tap into this hidden, invisible world. So since modern day science cannot tap into this invisible world, you need to locate an enlightened master who has special abilities and is able to teach you the rules to tap into this world. Like all processes in life, there are certain rules that need to be obeyed to accomplish this. To give you a very simple example, if you're driving a car in the UK, actually Hong Kong and Singapore, the steering wheel's on the right-hand side. But if you go to the US, China, you have to obey their rules and drive on the left-hand side because that's the way they drive their cars. So rules for each of these different worlds. And Feng Shui should always start in the home, because the home is your roots, it's your foundations for everything you do in life. It's where you live, it's where you eat, it's where you sleep, it's where you socialize. And then the Feng Shui should then extend to your workplace, because that's where you spend all your daytime. So if you want to accomplish things in life, get your home Feng Shui and get your workplace Feng Shui. So Feng Shui in construction. It doesn't matter whether you're a large or a small scale construction project. We always want the same outcome. We want everyone that comes to work to go home. In other words, we want a safe workplace. We want a smooth project. We don't want obstacles. We don't want delays, whether it's materials not getting to site, whether it's people fighting, going on strike. So you want a smooth project, and you want it to finish on time and hopefully on budget. So for a successful construction project, be it small or big, we should always respect the earth god, the dragon god, deities, and any other beings that may exist in the invisible world in this area. As we all know, in the visible world, we must obtain construction permits usually from government authorities. In Singapore, that would be, say, the LTA or PUB. And in Hong Kong, that's probably BCA, Building Control Authority. However, in the invisible world, they have their own system. And we need a master to ask the Jade Emperor to sort of give a permit to work that must be collected by somebody connected with the project in order to commence. It's a particularly importance if you're doing a big underground structure, whether it be for a railway, a cable tunnel, or anything else that happens to be underground. So I'm going to give an overview of my personal experience of two major projects where I've asked my master to come and Feng Shui all the projects that I've worked on in Singapore and Hong Kong, and share with you some of the successes that we've encountered. All the site work that we do in Feng Shui, it starts at the site office, just like starting at the home. At work, we start at the site office. And that's why it's so important to get the location of the offices, the position of the desks, where the people sit. For example, if you're designing an office, you want to spread all the seniors through the office. If you put them all at one end, which is what a lot of people tend to do, it's a bit like a boat. You'll end up capsizing. So you've got to have it spread through the office. And then once you've got the office sorted, you move on to the actual construction site outside and deal with any obstacles that you may come through. And every site's different. There's lots of similarities, particularly in setting up the office, but the obstacles that you might face are all very different. So I'm going to start with a cable tunnel that we built in Singapore, which started some nine years ago. So I'll explain again some of the fundamentals. You can see this office on the right of the picture. That's actually my old office when we first built the office. And the first thing, any desk, and it doesn't matter whether you're on site or in the city, the desk should never be located by the window. You should never have your back to a window, because the chi will just come through the office door, over your shoulder, and straight out of the window and get dissipated. So you should always have the desk located, as shown in this picture, with a backing mountain or a hoofa as your protector. You can then sort of put a few green potted plants in there, large green leafy plants to enhance the energy in that area. In the main sort of office area, you should try and have an entrance that's got some space to allow the energy to flow, sort of nice, bright, airy sort of lobby type of attraction. And the master will then always locate an energy spot for you where you can do a bit of meditation or whatever. And that should be uncluttered and not have a photocopier or some other electrical interference around it. In other words, that the chi can flow freely in all the main rooms, and the master can set all that up for you. So moving on to the outside. This is down in the west of Singapore, down by Jurong. And during the early days of the commencement of this project, we mobilized large pieces of machinery that's called a hydrophase right in front of us for digging some slurry walls for a shaft. It's an international contractor, very experienced bunch of people. During the night shift, this machine would not work. It would keep breaking down. Nobody knew why. All the lights in the office would flicker and go off. You had all the circuit breakers, all the light switches were all switched on. People could see shadows dodging around at night, ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call them. So generally the feeling was not good, and nobody wanted to work the night shift. So as you can imagine, production dropped off like a ton of bricks. But when you look at this picture here, you can see that there's a large chimney on the other side of the road, which was striking straight across the site, bringing all its negative energy like a huge guillotine, causing all the disruption to this area. So we had to call in our master to come and help sort out this obstacle on site. It was very interesting what the master did. In the invisible world, he constructed a mountain in between the chimney and the construction site. And the upstairs masters that help him do this are all very clever, because by doing that, they block the traffic. So they had to build an invisible tunnel in their invisible mountain to allow the flow of traffic to continue. And that's how we deal with that sort of issue. He also explained that this is a low-level area of land, and there's lots of wandering spirits where people have been lost for many, many hundreds of years. So he helped move them all on go to the light, whatever, go upstairs, and allow us safe passage to build this construction of a tunnel for the next 6 years. There we go. And once you've cleared all the site, the master, and there's myself, stood at the entrance of the site, and you can see there that the master installed a Junzai Pai. It's like a brass talisman, a very special brass plaque made in China, and that provides like a halo of protection over the whole site. So we have to make sure that we don't disturb that plaque for the next 6 years. And I'm very, very happy that about 3 days after installing all this equipment, production absolutely shot up. And I tell you that very, very honestly. And if you can imagine a site here with probably 400 or 500 people on site, watching the Grand Master walk around the site, waving his arms. And the majority of people, Chinese, they understand what's happening. And they're very proud that somebody is looking after them and helping their construction site get off to a better start. But it doesn't just finish there on site, because we set the site up. We've then got to pay our respects whenever we get the opportunity. So any festival day, Qingming, Chungyong, all the Chinese days, I would arrange lots of burning of joss paper, lots of prayers. You can see me on my knees, leading by example, what we must do on a regular basis. And this is something we carried on till completion of the project. And I'm very proud to report that this major contract was a very deep tunnel, 80 meters under the sea, in treacherous ground conditions. And we completed this project slightly early, which is unusual for a tunnel project. But above all, we were below budget. But the main thing is, first time in my career of building tunnels, we had 0 accidents. And I mean that, 0 accidents. And that, as I said, that is a first for me. So that's a major achievement, and it's a good legacy to leave behind in Singapore. So let's move on to another example in Hong Kong. Here we're building a railway extension in Tung Chung, and Tung Chung is on the island of Lantau, which is adjacent to the airport, Chek La Kok. If you've ever been into Hong Kong, you might not have realized all this scene on the right, but this is actually called the Yap Tung Estate on the right. And there's a little village on the left, little fishing village called Ma Wan. It's located at the foot of the mountains in Lantau, the top of which is the Big Buddha on Nyong Ping. So it's quite a tourist destination and a popular destination for locals in Hong Kong. Here's the Big Buddha, located on a very good energy spot in Hong Kong. In the invisible world, all the high-level masters are located at the top of the mountain. And this is where, as I said, the main energy point is. The smaller spirits who don't have enough merits to be in this location all stay down at the bottom of the hill around the villages that I mentioned. And there's actually 19 villages in the location that we were building 2 of these large stations. A lot of the spirits got pushed out of Hong Kong because Hong Kong's a very densely populated country. If you've ever been there, you'll know what I mean. So whenever there's any development, all the spirits get pushed out, and they find these nice villages in the back end of Lantau, and they've probably been there hundreds of years, if not longer. So when we sort of come in with all our surveying equipment, construction equipment, we're upsetting the balance down in Tung Chung. And this sort of negative effect has a direct impact on all the locals. All the locals were getting upset. They didn't want us coming in, building all this infrastructure and disrupting their way of life. So we had a lot of complaints, and these complaints can be enough to halt the project or even cancel it. So what do? you call in your Feng Shui master. And that's exactly what we did. We got Master Zhang Busheng to come and walk around the site, and we show him all the drawings, all the plans, let him feel the energy, let him weigh up the land literally, look where all the mountains are, look where the Feng Shui is, look where the Qi is flowing, and sort of help us to get over all of these construction obstacles. And again, most of my team are all Chinese, Cantonese, all welcome this kind of help on a project because it's part of the culture in Hong Kong, as it is in Singapore. And we would sort of go around mountains and look where we can build sort of a pavilion where not just the construction workers, but as a legacy after the construction, all the public can come and pay their respects to this area by burning joss paper, making some prayers and things like that. And it's the same system as before. You've got to ask the master to go and do a deal with the Jade Emperor to collect a construction permit for us, so that we can have a smooth construction period. In addition to that, and you'll see in the photographs later, there's an area of reclamation where we're building a station, and that does upset the dragon god. So again, the master does a deal with the dragon god and said, please let construction continue. Hong Kong's a busy place. We need more housing for people. And in return, we'll put some dragon structure so that people can pay homage to you, can pray to you, burn more joss paper, which will help all sentient beings be liberated. And that's the kind of deal you want from the Feng Shui master. So this was a very significant visit to the mountain here to find a spot where we could do something positive. This is just sort of a bird's eye view to give you an idea of the scale. The big orange marker down there, that's actually our underground station, 280 odd meters long, and the dotted orange line, twin tunnels that carry on to the existing station. So this is an extension west, for those of you that may know Lantau, and you can see all the infrastructure in the background. This is sort of the pavilion that I mentioned before. This is an idea of what we're going to build. We're just going through planning permission at the moment to get this on the side of the mountain. And obviously the masters are all very, very happy indeed with this style of pavilion. This is a very interesting temple in the west of Tongcheng. It's about a 400-year-old, very sacred temple. And we're going to add some tablets to this temple so that the construction team and the construction workers can come and make their offerings to all the gods down here, and thank them on a regular basis for looking after them and allowing for construction to continue. In front of this temple, we're also going to put another pavilion. And the same idea as the pavilion on the hill. This is a place where the public can come and burn joss paper, say some prayers, bring some revenue to the temple as well, which is always good. And above all, it will please the masters that more and more people are paying homage to them and thanking them for allowing construction to continue. And that all adds to the positive attitude in the community here. This is the second station that we're building in the east. And if you look at the top left of the picture, you can see the green area. That's all additional housing that's going to get built. And the blue box you can see sort of in the middle to the right is where the station at grade will go. For those of you who are familiar with Hong Kong, the two railways to the right, that's the Airport Express and the Tung Chung line that run into sort of Kowloon, Qingyi, and Hong Kong Station. And that's the main highway on the right. So there's quite a lot going on there. This is all the reclamation that we've had. So that's the deal with the dragon god to pay homage to him by having a structure, which I'll show you later. Towards the right, it's just a zoomed in view to show it's a major construction site. It's all been feng shuied. All the deals have been done with the masters so that we have a smooth construction. And hopefully we'll open all this in 2029. So this is a computer sort of image of that station that I was just pointing at. The big red arrow is the station. It's the station roof. You can see the two sort of connections to the future housing on the right. But what we're going to do is to put this dragon and pearl sculpture. It's a traditional Chinese sort of sculpture, two dragons with a pearl in the middle. We'll hopefully get it a little bit more golden than that. I'm going to stick that on top of the station and light it up at night and have a nice fountain. So hopefully that will become a focal point for this area, and people will remember what the role of the dragon god is in our culture as it is today. So that's my brief talk, and now I've got sort of a short summary of what we've discussed. So energy used in Feng Shui, it's naturally occurring, and it can be used by anyone under a trained person to enhance your living and your work environment. It can enhance your wealth. It can enhance your health, your love life, and general well-being. It's not just for construction projects, but the whole of the talk was really revolving around construction in this instance. When construction permits are issued by the Jade Emperor and collected by a master, construction continue smoothly. As I mentioned, all my projects in Singapore that were Feng Shui, they were all run extremely smoothly. There was no drama, there was no strikes. It was extremely safe, and we finished early and below budget, which is just excellent. So we all win. In Hong Kong, when our master agreed to set up the yellow tablets and put up some permanent pavilions, all the local disturbance, as he described, finished almost immediately within 2 or 3 days, and the project was able to continue. And the mood with workers, it's just excellent. But above all, anyone who wants to get involved with Feng Shui or learn from Feng Shui, you have to have an open mindset. Don't be the skeptical and come up with all the negative. You want science to check this and science to check that. This is above science. So you've got to have this open mindset and honest. It's got to come from the heart. And above all, you do need guidance from an enlightened master in order to succeed. So there's my sort of presentation. And I do thank you all for tuning in and listening to this talk. And I hope you found it very interesting. Okay, best wishes and good luck with your Feng Shui. Bye-bye.